Hey everyone, I wanted to bring you another quick video in my series called Knowledge is a Good Investment. Today's subject is on the difference between earnest money and due diligence money. So I am a realtor here in Western North Carolina, so everything I'm about to talk about relates to North Carolina forms. If you are in another state, reach out to your favorite professional in that state because the terms and definitions may be a little bit different. But in North Carolina, on our offer to purchase and contract, we have due diligence and earnest money as options when we're crafting an offer for a buyer to a seller. What is the difference? Well, earnest money is money that you put up as a buyer to show that you are sincere in actually wanting to buy the house, that you're not playing around. So you write a check and it goes into an account, like a trust account, typically at the buyer's real estate attorney's trust account, or maybe into the realtor's trust account, but it stays in escrow until closing. And then if you close, you get credit for that. If you terminate during the due diligence time period before that expires, you can get that back. But it has to be done before the due diligence time period expires, and it has to be done in writing to qualify for a full refund. So throughout the process, you're going to want to keep really good in touch with your realtor and make sure you're on top of these dates. So how is that different than due diligence money? Well, you heard me just a minute ago talk about a due diligence time period. That time period is different than due diligence money. So the due diligence money is written at first from the very beginning to the seller, and that check is made out to the seller, and the seller is encouraged to cash it right away. So if you terminate, doesn't matter if you terminate the next day or right before closing, that money is not refundable. Well, there's a tiny little loophole wherein it could be refundable, but it's so rare that you should just think about it as being non-refundable. The only time that would ever come back to the buyer is if there was a seller breach, and that is so rare. So just don't even think about that. Just when you write that check as a buyer, in your mind, you should think about that as being non-refundable. So the amount varies, and it's very negotiable between the buyer and the seller, and it depends on lots of factors. It might depend primarily on how desirable the house is, and maybe there are multiple offers, and so in that case you would want to be a little bit more aggressive with the amounts that you offer for earnest money and due diligence money than a house that's maybe been on the market for several months. So that's going to play a part. You're going to want to have a conversation with your real estate agent about how much to offer. I've seen it be zero, I've seen it be thousands of dollars. Same for earnest money, the amount's negotiable. I've seen it be zero, I've seen it be thousands of dollars. The thing that you need to remember is that due diligence is non-refundable. Earnest money can be, but you got to follow the rules. You got to give a termination within the due diligence time period. So how long is the due diligence time period? Depends, completely negotiable. If you're a buyer, you're going to want to make sure that time period is long enough for you to get all of your inspections done. If you're getting a mortgage, you need to make sure that you can get the appraisal done. If you want a survey, right now, as I'm making this video, surveys are the thing that probably are most backed up in the process. So if you want to get a survey, you need to make sure that you're allowing enough time for that to get done before the end of the due diligence time period, because let's say that survey turns up something that is a deal breaker for you and you would want to terminate that contract. Well, you need to have that survey done before the end of the due diligence time period. And typically that due diligence time period ends before closing, sometimes a day, sometimes several weeks. And that usually depends on whether or not the seller is occupying the home and has to move out or not. But basically, bottom line, due diligence is to compensate the seller for the time period that you're taking to do your inspections and appraisals, time that they're missing out potentially on other offers and contracts from other buyers. And earnest money just sits in an account, and it shows that you're earnest about buying that house, and you get credit for both of these at closing, but one's refundable, one's not. So don't forget that. It's pretty important. And the amounts, again, negotiable. You and your seller are going to come to an agreement on how much that's going to be. And the earnest money can be refundable if you follow the rules. Due diligence money is not refundable. So I hope that explains it a little bit better for you. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd be happy to talk to you more about it. And I hope you have a great day. Bye.